Hey, this is the Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti, former WCW TV champion and Cruiserweight champion and professional VIP wrestling podcast guest, and you're listening to In Your Head.
Welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I'm the internet icon, the pride of the pilgrims, the most honest man of podcasting, handsome Jackie Jones, and I'm joined by former writer of the Attitude Era in the podcasting machine, Vince Russo. How you doing?
What's going on, handsome Jack? I like that, bro. I like that. I like a man that can label himself handsome.
Right. It's just self-proclaimed.
That's all right. That's the best. That's the best kind of handsome, bro.
I agree. So I just watched recently the Vince Russo Attitude from Kayfabe Commentaries, the first one. How did the whole idea come about?
Well, Sean Oliver and myself had been talking about it for quite some time. Bro, everybody, listen, say what you want about the Attitude Era, say what you want about Vince Russo, but man, people still want to talk about that time in wrestling history. And, I like Sean, bro. I'm a huge fan of Kayfabe Commentaries, huge fan of Sean Oliver. I worked with him a couple of times, and I just kind of put a bug in his ear, and I'm like, man, I'd really, really love to do something, with you pertaining to the Attitude Era. And we talked about it for about a year, and, recently, last month or so when the first release came out, it came to fruition.
Yeah. And you mentioned, everyone still loves the Attitude Era and people remember. What do you think it is about that time in wrestling that people, still remember and look upon it so fondly?
Real simple, bro. It was good. I mean, it's that simple, man. It was good television. It was compelling television. We really, really cared about, what we wrote. We took great pride in every single show. And at the end of the day, it was just good television. And, everybody enjoyed it. Men, women, children. We had something for everybody. And, again, put that up to today's show, and it's just night and day, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've watched wrestling since the mid '80s, probably when I was a little kid, and like all the characters, anyone from the '80s, like you remember, it could be like a low end guy to a top guy, and the same thing about the Attitude Era. I don't think like in 10 years, people are going to remember a lot of besides John Cena and stuff, guys from the modern day.
Bro, 10 years. I'll watch SmackDown on Tuesday, and by Wednesday, I don't remember what happened.
Yeah. I mean, just even the characters. Sometimes I have a hard time even remembering some of the characters' names.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, bro. It's just not the same, bro. And listen, it doesn't have anything to do with. A lot of people say, oh, Vince, you wrote the Attitude Era, so you think it was the greatest era. First of all, I've gone on the record several times as stating I think the early WrestleMania years were the best era in wrestling. When I was watching, as a fan, and, WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3, I thought that was better, than the Attitude Era. But, like I said, you put any of that stuff up to today's product, it's just embarrassing, bro.
Mm-hmm. So you speak of that, when you were a wrestling fan, and I know you worked with all the top guys, in the modern time and stuff. But were there any guys that you got to work with or even interview, and you thought hey, this is pretty cool? It's a guy I grew up watching.
Oh yeah, but really old timers, bro. Getting to meet the Valiant brothers was a big deal to me. Getting to shake Ernie Ladd's hand, I'll never forget. Working with Chief Jay Strongbow. My very, very first interview I ever did was with Lou Albano. Spending very little bit of time, with Gorilla Monsoon and, Freddie Blassie. I mean, bro, come on, man. I'll never forget those moments of time I had with those. I mean, just icons, man.
Yeah. Since you mentioned, Captain Lou Albano, just to put in perspective the handsome Jackie Jones name, people say I resemble him. So I think it's a,
really?
it's a
well,
correct term.
You must be really handsome then, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
why was Ken Shamrock the first guy?
I don't know, bro. We threw a lot of names out there, and quite frankly, Shamrock was in the vicinity for a convention that weekend. So we just happened to be in the same place at the same time. So he was kind of first up. But man, I always loved working with Shamrock. I think it's a joke that he never made his way back to the WWE. Bro, you look at Ken Shamrock today, there is no doubt in my mind that he could probably kick the backside of 85 to 90% of the current WWE roster at 53 years old. And the fact that he was never given another opportunity at that company, I just think that's a joke.
Yeah, we just had him on the show this week, and he really didn't have an answer, and it's talked about on the video. Do you have any reason? Do you know of any reason why he's never been brought back, or if he is on some kind of?
No, not really. Outside of what we talked about on the video, and he had some interesting comments on there. I mean, outside of that, I really don't have any more knowledge than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. And you also talked about, like, he's not a guy. He's definitely remembered, but he's not a guy that, like, comes to mind at first when you think of the Attitude Era. And then when you talked about it, it did make me think too. It's like, I think that's true, and I'm not really sure why, because he was, for like the main parts of the Attitude and part of the rise of Stone Cold, and and The Rock, and like a lot of like major things during that era.
Oh, bro, he had a big part, a huge part in shooting Rock to superstardom. I mean, no doubt in my mind. I mean, one of Rock's first programs when he came out of that Rocky Maivia, character was, with Shamrock, man. And they had a good program, a long program. They had some great matches. And I told Ken, and I meant this, bro, and I'm sure Rock would tell you the same thing. I think he was very, very, very instrumental in bringing The Rock to that next level. No doubt in my mind, man.
Mm-hmm. Now, Eric Watts recently said that he called the WWE and told them that they should turn The Rock heel when he was watching Rocky Maivia on TV. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know anything about that, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I love Eric Watts, bro, and he's a very, very smart and creative guy. But, bro, we never turned Rock heel. Sure. I mean, we never did that. We just, bro, that's the difference between now and then. We had no baby faces and heels. The guys just they acted organically. And I say this all the time, bro. Good guys don't wear white hats all the time, and bad guys don't wear black hats all the time. And that's how we treated the Attitude Era, man. We were true to every single character. So whether you booed for them or cheered for them, bro, we didn't care as long as you responded to them, as long as you cared about them. That's all that mattered. So, yeah, I don't doubt that Eric did that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we ever, we never sat down and said, okay, we're going to turn The Rock. We just wrote his character organically.
Yeah. That's something I talk about sometimes on the show is a lot of times now if they turn a guy babyface, they take away everything that like the crowd was starting to get into him. Then like,
of course, bro.
It's kind of more they happen to fight bad guys. Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did the same thing prior to the Attitude Era. It's wrestling, bro. And that was the difference between prior to the Attitude Era when the ratings were in the gutter and now when the viewership is in the gutter. Ed Ferrara and myself, we were television writers and we wrote TV. Once, when we weren't a part of that, a landscape, they did what they know how to do, and that's right, wrestling. And I'm sorry, bro, I'll say it to this day. Freaking wrestlers don't act like real people act, and they don't talk like real people act, and it's phony, and nobody buys into it.
Mm-hmm. Now, along those lines, a lot of people, they say today like it's completely scripted. And what was the difference between like someone completely scripting every line someone says and what you would have done at the time? Like, would you have wrote, their whole verbiage, or would you have let people kind of have like idea of what they'd say?
Oh, bro, it really depended on the individual. Like
Okay.
there were some guys that wanted me to write every word for them. A guy like, the Goldust character, or Jeff Jarrett was a lot like that. There were some guys that, wanted me to write every word. And, there were other guys that, I worked with together. It was a collaboration. There were other guys that I just had to give bullet points to and say, listen, bro, go out there, be you, say what you want, but these are the things that you have to get over. So it was always a case by case, just depending on the level, of the talent and where they were as far as, giving promos and talking with a mic.
Yeah. Are there any guys on TV today that you see and you'd be like, I wish I was there just to, give this guy some stuff?
There's so many. That's the thing, bro. People say, I'm bitter and, I hate the WWE. Bro, that's BS. I'm hard on creative because I watch the show and it doesn't look like they're trying. It looks like they're sleepwalking through the show. It doesn't look like they're putting any effort whatsoever in the creative. And I call them out for that. And, I'm not looking for a job from them. I'm looking for them to do their freaking job. But, it's not the boys, bro. Everybody's working their butts off in the ring. And there are so many people there that I definitely say, man, I wish I wrote for Roman Reigns. I wish I wrote for Elias Sampson. I wish I wrote for Enzo. I wish I wrote for Bray Wyatt. There are so many talents that I'm really huge fans of, but, they're all falling a little bit short because they don't have that other side and they don't have the support system they need, which is a good writer and a good producer. And God, yeah, bro. I mean, half the roster I wish I would have worked with.
I'm glad you mentioned Elias because that's one of my personal favorites. I don't know if you watched Raw this week, but I thought his segment was the highlight of the show. And then I thought him working with Roman Reigns showed that this guy, should be like a main event guy.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And the only thing that's going to hold him back is their creative. He's got all the tools, bro, and it's the creative, bro. If the creative is not there, that's why, bro. Like, it always makes me laugh when people say to me, "Oh, well, Vince, you were successful as a writer because of the talent roster you had and the people that you got to work with." And what they don't understand, bro, is the people I had to work with were so great. Austin and Rock and Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley and Taker. They were so great, bro, that my writing level had to reach their greatness. Yeah. I had to write better than they performed. I couldn't hand those guys crap on a weekly basis, bro. I would have been out of a job. So my challenge was, yeah, man, I got a great performer in Austin. I got to give him great material. And my writing has to be just as strong as his performance. Bro, those guys wouldn't have reached those pinnacles that they did back then if they had today's writers with the WWE. Bro, those guys can't get Bray Wyatt over.
Yeah.
If you can't get a guy like Bray Wyatt over, bro, you don't deserve to be writing anywhere, bro. Yeah. Anywhere.
Yeah, because actually, Bray Wyatt was so over before, they started to do much. Just him coming out, or Enzo the same way. They just come out and people were so into him, and then the more I think they write for him, the less over they become, instead of the opposite.
Absolutely, bro. Yep, absolutely.
Because there was a time I thought Bray was the most over guy in the show. Same thing with Enzo. They just come out, and you could tell there was something special there. The crowd would light up.
But bro, that's the thing about good writing and bad writing. You have to be able to sustain it. You have to be able to do it every single week. Like I said, bro, when I would work with a guy like Austin or Mick or any of those guys, bro, there's no way they would walk into a TV taping and I would hand them crap. I mean, I would have never dreamed of that, bro. I mean, I handed them the best script I possibly can. You know, a lot of times we collaborated on it and made it better. But God, man, the stuff that the writers today hand to the talent, it's freaking embarrassing. I mean, for Roman Reigns' last line to be, "Oh, look at the guy next to you," because, you know, after our match is over, you're going to be wearing a neck brace. I mean, bro, a 5-year-old can write that. That's downright embarrassing.
Uh-huh. Was it also fun to write for, like, the guys that weren't main event guys, like, you know, just some of the underneath stuff? Because, you know, I think even if people don't like they have to give you credit for, you know, making the whole roster have something to do when you were writing.
Oh, absolutely, bro. I mean, whether it was D'Lo or Mark Henry or, you know, Val Venus or Sable or Mark Mero, I mean, I enjoyed writing for everybody, man. I really, you know, I treated everybody equally. Like, I didn't say, like, oh, God, I'm going to write my best stuff for Steve Austin.
Right.
I wrote for every character like they were Steve Austin. I mean, you know, bro, they were on that roster and they deserved that spot. And it was my job to give them the best material I could give them.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Back to Ken. When you were doing the thing with Ken, it was and you talked about Dan Severn. I couldn't think of his name quick. Would you remember when Dan Severn was there at the time? And did you think this was going to be a big angle, Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn?
Bro, I did, bro. But there was such a huge difference in the entertainment factor, you know, I mean, between Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. And Ken was so believable, bro, and so passionate when he talked, and he could cut a promo and you believed it. And, you know, you mirror that with Dan, great guy, bro, great freaking guy, but very laid back, very quiet, very reserved. You knew once you put those guys together, you know, I mean, you know, Shamrock was going to outshine him, you know, I mean, just on the microphone. And, you know, I think that's what happened. But, you know, that's a testament, bro, to how great Shamrock was. You know, I don't think it really had anything to do with Severn being bad, but right. I think Ken Shamrock was just that good, you know.
Mm-hmm. Ken mentioned that, I don't know if you have any recollection of this, he said on the show the other night that when Dan was in the ring and he took his shirt off, that Vince like lost interest, and like he sent an audible to the ring for Dan Severn to put his shirt back on because he wasn't happy with the shape he was in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but that definitely doesn't sound like it's outside of Vince's character. So, I mean, if Kenny said that, I would tend to believe it.
Yeah. With that, like, in mind,
which, if that's the case, well, I was going to say, you know, I wish somebody would explain Kevin Owens to me.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, well, but think about it. Kevin Owens has never taken his shirt off, thank God.
Yeah. We differ. I actually like Kevin Owens, but I could totally understand the look factor.
Bro, I don't dislike Kevin Owens. I don't know Kevin Owens. I'm sure Kevin Steen is a great guy. But I also know with 25 years of history in the wrestling business, bro, when your job is to be a wrestler, then you need to look like a wrestler. And you got to understand something. If part of Kevin Owens' gimmick was he's lazy, he's sloppy, he doesn't train, he likes to go to Dairy Queen after the show, if that was part of his character, that would be okay. But it's not part of his character.
Yeah.
I mean, and as a matter of fact, you know, they've called him a prize fighter. And it's like, you know, bro, if that's not going to be your character, you freaking need to get in the gym and get into shape. I would say that to anybody.
Sure.
So it's not, you know, it's not an attack on, you know, Kevin Owens, but it's like, bro, if I were writing for Kevin Owens, that would be part of his character, bro.
Yeah.
He walks around his house in his freaking boxer trunks. He always has a slice of pizza in his hand. He's always, drink. I mean, that I would play that into the character. But, they turn around and they call him a prize fighter, and the guy's probably the most out of shape. I'm talking body-wise, not conditioning. The guy's probably the most out of shape guy on the roster.
Yeah. And I think that would be a good heat too, because he would be like, "Hey, look at me, and I'm still, beating you in the ring or something."
Absolutely, it would, bro. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's just like instant. It would be instant feuds. People would, a guy would be mad, obviously, if they lost to somebody like that.
Bro, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind writing for him.
So I want to ask you about this. Was a cliche? It's always people have said is funny equals no money. Do you agree with that?
What is that again, bro?
It's like old wrestling cliche. Funny equals no money. Like you can't push someone who's like a comic character.
Bro, what was Hulk Hogan?
I'm not agreeing.
I'm not saying that as a slant at Hulk Hogan at all. Bro, Hulk Hogan was a freaking superhero. Superheroes are cartoon characters. I mean that's ridiculous. Well, I mean The Undertaker. The Undertaker was a cartoon character. I mean, my God, bro, no. If you give somebody the right gimmick and they get it over, I mean, my God, like I said, bro, Hulk Hogan kind of opens and shuts that book with his look and, say your prayers and eat your vitamins and the red and yellow and oh my gosh, bro. I mean, he was comic book character number one. And I don't say that in a bad way, bro. I mean, the guy was arguably the biggest star ever in the wrestling business.
Yeah. Devil's advocate question for you. Sometimes you talk about small guys who might not look like they could beat somebody like a Finn Balor or something. But in WCW, you push like Billy Kidman, Hoovy, Rey Mysterio. What's the difference?
Well, bro, I won't say. I mean, bro, I don't think it's right to categorize that I pushed them. I didn't push them at all. I put them on TV. But you believe that, bro? Come on, bro. Let me make this real easy for you. If you're walking down a dark alley, okay, and you see Dean Malenko, or you see Chris Benoit, or you see Eddie Guerrero, or you see Sami Zayn, who are you going to be least afraid of?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you.
I mean, bro, freaking Guerrero looked like the real deal. Benoit carried himself like the real deal. Malenko carried himself like the real deal. Perry Saturn looked like the real deal. Bro, Sami Zayn doesn't scare me. I mean, if he doesn't scare a 56-year-old man, how the heck is he going to scare another wrestler?
No, I actually agree with it. I think a lot of it is
Finn Balor. Come on, bro. Finn Balor should be a freaking model. He should be a freaking runway model, not a wrestler. Just because you have abs don't make you a wrestler, bro. When like you knew when Eddie opened his mouth, bro. Eddie was a smaller guy. But when he opened his mouth and cut his promo, bro, you knew he had that mean streak. You don't know what freaking Eddie would do to you if nobody was looking. Finn Balor scares you with the freaking promos he cuts? Come on, man. It's ridiculous.
It was actually maybe laughed you brought up abs because there's currently on WWE.com. It's the 25 greatest abs in WWE history.
Yeah, I heard about that. Please, bro. Give me, please. Look at Ken Shamrock's abs, and then look at the 25 on that list, and then talk to me.
I just thought it was funny. It was even something that anyone thought was important to make a list about.
Yeah, it's funny, man.
Yeah, what would you when you used to write for the magazine? What if they would have came to you and write an article about the greatest abs? Would you have had to look over all these pictures?
No, I was the editor of the magazine, bro, right. So I wouldn't have written about something that ridiculous.
All right, fair enough. There's a website 434, and they reported that you, Vince Russo, mentioned an interview that Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon are on separate pathways, and that's why WWE is on a limbo right now. he added that if Shane was running the WWE, he would be working as a writer for them. Is that accurate?
Me?
Yeah.
Shane, the first thing Shane McMahon would do if he were in charge would be hire me as a writer, because Shane's not concerned with power. Shane is concerned with running the best company he can with the best people that he can, much like his father was. Okay, Triple H and Stephanie are all about power, and they want all the power. They don't want anybody to be better than them. They want minions. They want people to be afraid of them. That was the reason I didn't go back in 2002. Shane McMahon would tell you that himself. Shane McMahon wanted me there. Stephanie McMahon did not. Why? Because I would have exposed her, and people would have seen that she had no business being involved creatively because she doesn't have a creative bone in her body. So, therefore, the only way she could save face was to make sure that I did not go back there. And like I said, it's about power with Hunter and Stephanie. With Shane, it's about having the best company that you can. There's no doubt in my mind, if Shane McMahon were in charge, that the first thing he would do is call me.
Mm-hmm. Do you know any reason why he's not more in charge in WWE?
I don't know, bro. I wouldn't even want to know the stuff that goes on behind the scenes between him and Stephanie and Hunter. I swear, I don't even want to know. Like, I can't even imagine, bro. Like, the politicking and the he said, she said, and the jockeying for position. I can't even imagine it. Thinking about that gives me a headache.
Fair enough. So
that's why when people say to me that's why when people honestly think, oh, I'm bitter because I'm not working there, and I talk negatively about the product because I want them to hire me. It's like, are you freaking kidding me, bro? I'm 56 years old. Do you think, I'm on the other side of life. Do you think I really want to be in that type of environment at this point in my life? It was great when I was in my 30s, bro. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be 57. I mean, my God, high school ended a long time ago. The last place I would want to be is employed full-time by the WWE. Now, I'm going to admit to you, bro, a couple of years ago, I reached out to Vince McMahon to help him. But the reason why I did that was because I was embarrassed by the product. I was like, bro, this sucks, man. Like, you need help. That was the only reason why I did it, bro, because the product had gotten so bad. But like when I think about that now and actually going back, oh my God, bro, I couldn't even imagine it.
Yeah. Was he receptive at all?
Bro, he could never hire me back because Stephanie's still there. I mean, it's the same thing. It's what I just told you. With Stephanie and Triple H, I mean, before Vince ever got before Vince ever hired me, they would both give him 100 reasons each why he shouldn't. Yeah, I would never ever be hired there if both of them still work there.
Yeah. And then now that Ken Shamrock's not like sitting right next to you, do you remember writing some of the stuff that he wasn't fond of, like the dog food?
Bro, I don't. I don't. Bro, as a matter of fact, I don't disbelieve him. I just don't remember it. Yeah. And the funny thing was, bro, like after the interview, I called Ed Ferrara. And I said, Ed, I know you got a way better memory than me. I said, but do you remember? Ed didn't remember, any of that stuff. That's why, bro, my whole thing with Ken was they might have wanted him out, and they may have created that stuff to pitch Ken without Ed and I even knowing about it. I mean, that's what I was trying to get to in the DVD. I mean, bro, for the life of me, a romantic relationship with him and Ryan. I spoke to Ed about that, and Ed was like, bro, I don't remember ever discussing that. So I believe everything Ken said. But, my question mark was, did they want to get rid of Ken? So did they come up with that stuff on their own to pitch him knowing that he wouldn't go for it? I don't know, bro, but I could tell you both Ed and I don't remember that.
Yeah. Do you know, to your knowledge, has that ever happened with anybody else? Like, besides you or Ed would pitch something to another wrestler about creative?
No, but I don't know, bro. I'm sure it happened. And like I said, speaking to Ken really opened my eyes because, like, I don't remember that. And Ed didn't remember that. And I'm sure Ken's telling the truth. But if you remember, bro, Ken clearly said, I was the one that spoke to him and we talked about the dog food thing and all that.
Yeah.
He never said on that DVD that I was the one that pitched him those ideas. He kept saying they wanted me. He never said, Vince, remember the day you came up to me and told? He never said that, bro.
Yeah.
He kept saying like he heard that from somebody else. And that's when I started thinking, bro, like, did people know that Ken wouldn't have went for that and that was their way of getting out of his contract? I don't know, bro.
Yeah. So, working with Sean Oliver, do you foresee this being a problem with anyone else who does a video series with Sean Oliver?
Oh, no, bro. I wish people that hated me would do it with me.
Sure.
I really do. I feel like, Sonny always talks badly of me. I'd love to sit down and do one with Sonny. Bro, I swear to God, supposedly I have some kind of heat with the Godfather. I swear to you, I have no idea what that heat is. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I said. When I worked with him, we got along fine. I'd love to do one of these with him to find out where the heat is. No, bro, I welcome anybody that has a beef with my writing or anything like that. I'll sit down and talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Just in my mind, I would think that was like the highlight of his run would have been when you were there.
Who, Godfather?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I don't know what his deal is. I really don't. I know how wrestling is. Did you hear what Vince Russo said about you? Sure. And, Vince Russo never said it. But, so, like, I honestly, I don't know what the beef is, but I'd love to sit down with him and find out.
Mm-hmm. Were you there for Right to Censor, or was that after you left?
That was after I left.
Okay, because I know he didn't like that run, but I didn't know if I can't remember exactly what time it was or anything,
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah. Do you know if there's any dirt on you in Sean Oliver's book that's coming out?
No, I read a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
And everything he said about me was true, bro. Because, bro, people that know me and people that interact with me, they don't have a problem with me. The people that have a problem with me are those that don't agree with my philosophies of professional wrestling. That's the first group. And the second group are, wrestlers that I worked with and, felt that, they should have got a bigger point. Bro, every wrestler thinks they should be the champion. And they should think that, but there can only be one champion. So, bro, there's never a personal issue like with me. So everything Sean said about me in the book was spot on.
Yeah. About that, people have a problem with you based on like your philosophy of wrestling. Have you ever had that yourself? Like if someone has a different belief on how wrestling should be, would you get
look at the people I worked with in the past. Jerry Jarrett, Bill Watts, Dutch Mantell, Eric Bischoff, Bruce Pritchard, Jim Ross. I mean, my God, bro, I worked with so many creative people with different philosophies from all over the world. Of course not. And that was the whole thing, bro. When I would sit down with them and our philosophies would disagree, I would understand their philosophies are based on the territories they grew up watching. My entertainment value came from Vince McMahon Sr. and the WWF. That's where I got all my stuff from. So when somebody's got an opposing viewpoint from me, I immediately understood that's where, Eric Bischoff grew up in AWA in Minnesota. Bruce Pritchard spent a lot of time in Texas. Bill Rush, Jerry Jarrett in Memphis. So like immediately I was like, well, that's the way they did things there. So I never, bro. If you're gonna hate somebody over their philosophy over a fake wrestling show, that is the biggest form of stupidity, bro, that you could possibly imagine.
Did you and Ken Shamrock leave? You guys left about it was like the same year. Did you ever try to get him into WCW?
No, but I worked with him again at TNA, and that was great.
Yeah.
No, there was not that time at WCW. No.
Mm-hmm. Any reason, or just that didn't happen?
Probably, bro. I had too much of my own crap going on, and it wasn't a good experience. So, like, I wasn't really, looking to bring, good people in, because I really wasn't too high on the company, to be honest with you.
Yeah. In TNA, was there any reason why he didn't stay around longer?
No, not at all. I mean, bro, that's the thing. A lot of people have a misconception, about me. Bro, all the companies I worked for, I never had anything to do with contracts. I mean, ever. And a lot of times, especially at TNA, I know a lot of people like in TNA have, blamed me for their departure and this, that, and the other thing. I never had anything to do with any of that stuff, bro. And especially with TNA, every decision TNA made was based on dollars and cents. I mean, literally, like, if TNA had an electric bill due that they couldn't pay, they would let a talent go. And all the time, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, Dixie Carter would come to me and say, Vince, would you be able to, write without so-and-so? And I would turn around and tell her every time, Dixie, I can write without anybody. Nobody's bigger than the show. So, at the end of the day, all I need is a roster, every single week to see who's on that roster. I mean, I remember one time, like, I was asked if I could write a show without Sting. And I said, yeah, I mean, I can write a show without anybody. So a lot of those talent decisions, it all came down to dollars and cents in TNA.
Yeah. When you're writing for any of the companies, maybe they're all different. Does anyone ever come to you and say, like, this particular guy, we really want to go with, so can you write him more into the show? Or this guy, for whatever reason, like, as you said in the video, we're trying to write him out because he's leaving, or maybe they just didn't like him for some reason. Like, how did that happen? Did that happen?
No, the only time would be, like, I'll be honest, like, that was never a case at WWE or even WCW. That was more a case at TNA where, Dixie, for whatever reason, she had certain guys that she wanted to push, but she never came out and told you that. And, that was the sad thing, because it was her company. So if she wanted to push somebody, that was my job, to push whoever the boss wanted me to push. But Dixie had a way of never telling you, okay, I want to give so-and-so a push, because if it didn't work out, she didn't want to be held responsible. So, like, she would kind of nag you and nag you and nag you about certain people until you basically said, all right, already, I get it. You want me to push, so-and-so, but you're just not coming out and saying it, because if it doesn't work out, you don't want to take the responsibility. And I mean, two names that immediately come to mind are like Magnus and Hernandez. I mean, those were two guys that, constant. And it was, okay, Dixie, all you have to do is tell me and I'll do it. You're the boss. But, like, outside of that, I mean, at WWE and WCW, that was never really the case. Nobody ever really got on me or had a meeting with me, that they wanted a certain guy pushed.
Mm-hmm. When you're writing for someone that they in TNA, like, they specifically ask you, or Dixie, well, not me specifically, but hitting it around, is it harder to write for someone like that you have to write for, as opposed to people you like just want to write more for?
Bro, it's not really harder. But the sad thing is, you kind of wind out taking it out on that person.
Right.
And that's unfair. And I mean, I've had talks with Magnus about this, and I've apologized to him about this, but like, you know, you just get so freaking tired of, you know, like Dixie's, you know, little, you know, innuendos, like, you know, that were every single day, that you wind up taking it out on the talent, and that's really, really not fair.
Yeah. Is there anybody that you are like either a character or just even a wrestler that you wrote for that you just thought like this can't miss, and it never worked?
Not really, bro, because there's really no such thing as a can't miss, because like that would be my opinion. You know what I mean? So like something that can't miss, in my opinion, doesn't mean that it's going to get over with with the general audience. So not really, bro. There's nobody I could really think of that I felt that strongly about and then just really didn't get anywhere.
Yeah. How about the reverse of that? Anyone like or a character like you thought might be funny or something, but really took off way more than you expected it to?
God, bro, not really anything that I could think of. Man, you gotta understand, I'm such a long time removed from it, you know. So like there are just so many things I can't remember, but you know, something like that doesn't really come to mind.
Yeah. I want to ask about castrating the marks. Where did the idea originate, and has any of the Sheik guys contact you about it?
Of course not, bro. And every week I openly invite them on my show. If they got something to say to me, rather than say it behind my back, say it to my face. And they're so full of crap, bro, because their out is always, you know, we don't want to give you the publicity and we don't want to put your show over. And of course I say, well, I'll be happy to come on your show. And you know, that's the thing, bro. They're so ignorant and they know so little about business that they don't even realize that an interaction between the two of us would be huge business, and a ton of people would tune in and listen to it, and that's what people want. But the reason why nobody will face me face to face, bro, is real simple. Because when you're with me face to face and you have your ridiculous opinions, I'm always going to go back to numbers. I'm always going to go back to the facts. And that's the thing, bro. Once I go to the facts, there's no argument anymore, because all they're saying and everything that comes out of their mouth is their opinion. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Meltzer just somebody said something to Meltzer the other day about my success in the WWE. And Meltzer wrote a tweet back saying, well, yeah, I think we'll all agree that Vince had 2 years of success and 20 years of failure. Okay, like that was Meltzer's comment. So if I had Meltzer on my show, I would say, well, 20 years of failure, Dave. Let's look at the first 3 months of WCW when I was able to write the show I wanted with Ed Ferrara. The first 3 months there, the ratings went up 1 rating point. You want to take out the numbers and look at them? Let's do it right here. Then I would go to TNA, and I would say, Dave, with all due respect, you know, TNA draws now about 200,000 people. When I was the head writer for TNA, we drew 2 million viewers. Do you know what TNA would do right now for 2 million viewers? So, like, how Dave can look at TNA as a Vince Russo failure when Vince Russo was there and there were 2 million viewers a week, and now there's 200,000 is an absolute joke. And the fact that he makes a statement like that, it kills all his credibility. And if he ever came on my show, I would simply say, you call 2 million people watching TNA a Vince Russo failure. How many people are watching TNA today? But that's why they never want to come on my show, because I'll just hit them with the facts. I'll just hit them with the numbers, and their opinions will look asinine. And so I got to be honest with you. In that sense, I really don't blame them.
Yeah. Speaking of Dave, has this come up at all in the Castrating the Marks, his Hall of Fame, the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame?
No, it has not yet. Anyway, not yet. Anyway.
Oh, okay, I just had one question because one guy that's never in it is Sergeant Slaughter, which is always just insane to me. But on his recent reason why he wasn't inducted this year, he said that what works against him is longevity, and I don't know how someone could have more longevity than Sergeant Slaughter. He was like a big star for 30
my God,
30
bro.
years.
Sergeant Slaughter was around forever. I mean, Sergeant Slaughter was around when I first started watching wrestling, and then I used him during the Attitude Era. So, I mean, that right there. But that's what I mean, bro. He doesn't. Everything out of Dave Meltzer's mouth is his opinion. It's all his opinion. He never backs up anything with fact. He never backs up anything with numbers. He never does his homework. It's all his freaking opinion. And, and that's why he stays clear of me. Because at the end of the day, okay, Dave, let's look at the numbers when Vince was writing and when Vince wasn't writing. And case closed. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, my God, I would hate to think that literally, like, if I ever got Dave Meltzer in a court of law and, Dave Meltzer wanted to prove his case that Vince Russo had 2 years of success and 20 years of failure. Go ahead, Dave, prove that case. Oh, my God, I'd have an absolute field day with the guy.
We got a lot of questions here on Facebook, so I want to ask some of them. Corey Miller wants to know, what's your obsession with the word bro?
I don't know, bro. It's just something I say. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, I mean, if people don't like it, don't listen to it. I mean, it's really that simple. I talk that way to my kids. I mean, it's just something that I've always used.
I gotcha. Kai Spires wants to know, has Jeff Lane and Ruby Riott ever been seen in the same room together, and should Jeff's puke hat get a title shot?
Well, they have not been seen in the same room together, which leads me to speculation. I honestly believe Jeff Lane and Ruby Riott are the same person. And no, Jeff's puke hat does not deserve a title shot whatsoever.
All right. Robbie Scar wants to know, why did you cause Raven to get scalped in TNA with James Mitchell, and how did you feel about that?
See, that's another thing, bro. People don't understand. Like, when I was at TNA, bro, Jeff Jarrett was the boss. Like, it was not Vince Russo's company. Like, I didn't have, free reign to do what I wanted all of the time. We had a committee, and I mean, basically, like, I brought all my ideas, to Jeff. And, I mean, the bulk of the time when I was there, it was Jeff Jarrett, Dutch, myself, and Matt Conway. I only had full reign, bro, for a very, very short window. And that was when, Jeff got sent home from TNA because of the Karen Angle stuff. And I mean, literally, bro, I think I wrote the TV with just Matt Conway for, like, I don't know, bro, maybe it was 6 weeks. And then, Dixie brought in Hulk and Eric, and that added a whole other thing to it. So, again, bro, like, that wasn't fully, my concept. I mean, that was talked about and I mean, that was really talked about and created in a creative meeting.
Yeah.
And you know what, bro, I'll be honest with you too. I guarantee you, of course, I can't remember all the specifics, but I guarantee you Raven had a great deal of involvement in that as well. I mean, I know Raven thought very highly of Jim Mitchell. I know Raven was really into the angle. So, like, I would not be the least bit surprised if it was Raven's idea. Because I know Raven was very much into the angle. He was very tight with Jim Mitchell. I can't remember the specifics at the time, but I would not be at all surprised if that idea kind of originated from Raven.
Yeah. I heard Mitchell say that the reason Dixie didn't like him because he got a lot of heat, and she thought she meant that, like, he wasn't a good person because the fans were booing him. Have you ever heard that?
That's true. Absolutely. She said that to me.
What goes through your mind when someone says that to you?
Why are you in the wrestling business? Yep. That absolutely is true.
Mike Terwin says, as Vince and I share a mutual love of Kiss, I actually have a fantasy booking question. If he could take any three wrestlers currently on the WWE roster that he has never worked with before and book them during the Attitude era, who would those three wrestlers be?
Man, bro, that's a great question because there's more than three. I mean, there's definitely more than three. I really like a lot of guys and girls on the WWE roster. I would have to say, bro, Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to add a third one, bro, oh boy, I would say probably Enzo.
Mm-hmm. Just about Enzo, because that's a guy I talk about every week. He's actually one of my favorites. Would you have ever put him on 205 Live?
Well, bro, they put him on 205 for a good reason. I mean, they put him on 205 to help get the whole division over because nobody was over in 205, and I still don't believe anybody's over in 205 but Enzo. I want to take that back, bro. I thought Neville was over. I like sure. Neville. I thought Neville was good, but outside of Neville and Enzo, I mean, nobody's really been over in that division. So, I mean, you know, they used him to help get that division over, which I don't think was a bad idea. I mean, I don't think that was a bad idea at all.
Mm-hmm. Lou Risconi, he just adds, have you ever seen a grown man naked? Famous question from Airplane.
Have I ever seen a grown man naked? I'm sure I have it. I can't remember any, you know, off the top of my head. I'm sure I have.
All right, fair enough. James Kahn, do you feel NWO 2000 and the year 2000 would have been much different for you in WCW had Goldberg and Bret Hart not have gotten injured?
Oh, definitely, bro. No doubt about it. No, I mean, those were, especially the Bret injury, bro. That was a huge injury that I had to work around because I was going to do a lot with Bret. So, yeah, bro, there's no doubt in my mind it would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
But, I mean, stuff happens, bro. People get hurt. That's just part of wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Crandall, what kind of pole match should Roman and Brock have at Mania?
Bro, I'm bro, who asked me this?
Bryan Crandall.
Bro, let me tell you, how long you been in the wrestling business? You. How long
me,
you been
personally?
In the wrestling business? Yeah.
Well, I've been doing the show since 2005.
Okay, name 3 pole matches Vince Russo booked.
Judy Bagwell.
No, Judy Bagwell was on.
She was on the forklift. You're right.
Yeah,
right.
So name 3 pole matches Vince Russo booked. Go ahead.
Let's see. Tequila.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Viagra. And I'm not.
Yeah, kind of tough to name all these pole matches Vince Russo booked, isn't it? Isn't it, bro? Yeah. That's my point, bro. You know, guys like Meltzer and guys like Keller and all those dirt sheet pounds, hacks, turned it into folklore that Vince Russo booked all these pole matches. Yet somebody like you, who's been doing this for a long time, yeah, bro, tequila on a pole and Viagra on a pole. What else?
Yeah, I mean,
that's my point, bro. Bro, when you do the math and you looked at all the years I booked for WWE, WCW, and TNA, and you look at a show every week and sometimes 2 shows a week with, Nitro and Thunder and Raw and SmackDown. Bro, I literally booked thousands of matches. Yet we can name 2 pole matches out of the 1,000. And that's all Vince Russo did. That's that's what I'm talking about, bro. I again, if I brought Meltzer on the show and said, Dave, name 3 pole matches I booked, I'd get the same answer.
Ted Booz wants to know if you and Roddy Piper ever reconciled.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, bro, absolutely. We worked again, but then I was on his show before he passed away. We had a couple of phone calls. Yeah. I mean, we did. And bro, listen, I never really had heat with me. I'm talking me personally. Yeah. I never had heat with Roddy. I loved Roddy. Roddy was a freaking legend. There'll never be another one. Nobody will ever come close to him. But when he made the comment about me killing Owen Hart,
Yeah.
I just thought he took things, way, 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 way too far. And that's what I had an issue.
Sure.
Outside of that, bro, there wasn't a bigger Roddy Piper fan than me.
Yeah. And that had to be disappointing on many levels. Just the idea anyone would think that, and then plus someone like a legend in the business would think that, or say that anyway.
Well, bro, I got to be honest with you. I don't think he really thought that.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was, it was kind of outrageous for him to say. And, bro, a lot of people like to jump on the, let's hate Vince Russo bandwagon because it kind of makes you cool and it kind of makes you relevant. I can't believe in his heart of hearts like he believed that for 1 second.
Yeah. Did Owen ever?
Bro, you talk about Kiss. Keep in mind what you wanted to ask me. Don't forget it. But, bro, you talk about Kiss. As a Kiss fan, since God, bro, I've been a Kiss fan for literally 40 years.
Uh-huh.
Okay, bro? If anybody is a Kiss fan, I mean, I've gone to probably 25 Kiss concerts. Bro, they would know every single show there is a wire connected to the back of Gene Simmons, and he's hoisted to the rafters where he sings God of Thunder. And my God, Gene Simmons has probably done that. I mean, my God, bro, they've been playing since 73. So, like, just say 40 years for argument's sake. 40 years, bro, they probably average a minimum of 200 shows a year. I mean, do the math how many times Gene Simmons has done that same exact thing. That was such a fluke accident. It wasn't even my idea. It came about in a much, much different way. Was not my idea at all. And, to make a comment like that to me, I mean, that's something that's just taking it too far.
Yeah. What I was going to ask was, did Owen ever play any ribs on you?
No, not real, bro. I kind of stayed away from the locker room, man. I just kind of, I did my job. I tried to carry myself as a professional. When I wasn't working, I didn't hang around the boys. I didn't go to the bar. I didn't go out with them. So, I never really got involved in any of that.
Mm-hmm. Neil once said no. Did Vince McMahon ever throw you into his pool?
No, but once Vince McMahon had a party, bro, a birthday party for Vince McMahon, and there were all these, God, bro, all these high executive type people from freaking Greenwich, Connecticut, and I was there with my 3 kids and my wife, and my kids were small at the time, and my 2 boys were supposed to be watching my little daughter in the pool. And they left my daughter in the pool, and I saw my daughter go under, and in front of all these people at Vince McMahon's birthday party, I had to jump into the pool in my freaking clothes to save my daughter. He himself never personally threw me in the pool.
All right. Josh Giles, he wants to know, was there anything that you wrote during the Attitude Era that was rejected by Vince, that never made air?
Never, bro. Vince never rejected anything, bro. He never really added anything. He fine-tuned everything, bro. Like he would take something good and he would make it great. And that's Vince McMahon's genius. Vince McMahon cannot write a show on an empty piece of paper, as it is being proven today, as it has been being proven for a number of years now. He cannot write a show from scratch, but if you write a great show, he has a knack of making it even better. And he never ex-nayed any ideas. Nothing. He just always took my work, and then when I was working with Ed, he always took our work, and he just always found a way, bro, to add that little tweak to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
But, people talk about the filter. Vince never filtered anything out. Again, bro, that's a Meltzer folklore, and that's a Keller folklore, because if Vince was this great filter, again, here's the question to Dave Meltzer. Okay, bro, no problem. Vince McMahon was the great filter, okay? Well, there's only one problem with that theory, Dave. Vince McMahon is still at the WWE. So why does today's product suck?
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. If he filtered me and the Attitude Era was all on Vince McMahon and Vince Russo had nothing to do with it and Ed Ferrara had nothing to do with it, Vince McMahon is still at the WWE. Why is today's product unwatchable? You see, those are the kind of things where it's, well, I guess there's really not an answer for that, is there?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that statement, actually. I think even if people don't like you, they should always give you credit for your work in the Attitude Era. Otherwise, I think it's dishonest.
Bro, there's a lot of people I don't like that I give a ton of credit to. Sure. I mean, trust me, a lot of... Bro, I mean, Bill Goldberg and I didn't have the greatest relationship in the world at WCW. His last run at WWE, I put the guy over to the freaking moon. His attitude and the shape he was in and his performance in the ring. And, but you see, bro, that's the thing. It's like, people have heat with me over my wrestling philosophy and over, how I think a television show should be written. And, I have a way of thinking television should be written that people hate me for. And like when you think about that, bro, that's just, I mean, that's just insanity.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if there's shows I don't like, or if a season gets worse, a show that I do like, and Dexter season 4 is amazing with the Trinity Killer. Season 5 is not very good, but I never thought like I'm going to go kill the writer of it with like a baseball bat or anything. It just,
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, bro. I mean, the same with me, bro. There were a lot of shows I watched at the beginning and then they lost me. But, I mean, that's my opinion why they lost me. I mean, bro, the Office, perfect example is The Office after Steve Carell.
Right.
Like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, come on. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, hey, man, maybe some people like The Office after Steve Carell. I didn't, so I just stopped watching. And obviously, bro, during the Attitude Era, not too many people stopped watching the WWE.
I'm going to ask one more here. Todd Falkerson wants to know, did you ever see Lanny Poffo do his locker room trick?
No.
Fair enough. I got to ask, what's the deal with Kenny Bolin? How did he become part? Is he still part of your network?
Yeah, he's still part of the network, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did that come about? I know he was on your show and everything.
Kenny, when I had my show, Kenny reached out to me to come on my show. At the beginning, like, I didn't trust him because I knew he was good friends with, Cornette. And I didn't know if he was going to ambush me. I didn't know what he was going to do. But, I mean, I didn't know Kenny, so I wasn't going to hold it against him that he was friends with Cornette. So, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He came on my show. We hit it off. I was very entertained by him, bro. I love characters, man. I love old school characters, especially manager types. So when he came on my show, I was highly, highly entertained by him. And, we just, we've kind of remained friends ever since.
Yeah, that's cool. Speaking of managers, do you think that will ever make like a comeback, like a permanent comeback? I guess we still have some in a way, like Paul Heyman.
Well, bro, it could be done, but it would have to be done in a completely different way. It would have to be done in a way where it works in 2017. And, neither Vince McMahon or any of his writers have the ability to do that. So, no, I don't think we'll see that again.
Yeah. Another question too. I was thinking, do you know if you've ever been on the ballot for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame?
I doubt that very much, bro. Why would you want to put the most successful writer in the history of the WWE on the ballot?
I just, even if he doesn't agree, I think it's only fair that you should at least be on the ballot.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure you're very worried about it, but
yeah, it keeps me up at night.
So I love the Ken.
I would not, bro. Like here's my biggest problem with like the Meltzers and the Kellers and all these guys, bro. I would not have a problem with them if when they spoke or made a statement, they made it clear that it was their opinion. You see, like, if they made it clear that it was their opinion, fine, but everything that comes out of their mouth, they phrase it and they frame it like it's factual. You know, like, yeah, Vince Russo had 2 successful years in the WWE, but his next 20 years were a failure. That's not factual. That's an opinion. So if they would have said, well, my opinion is, then fine, bro. Then we have no problem. But when you state stuff is factual and it's not factual, you're going to get a show like Castrating the Marks, you know, on the Realm Network, and I'm going to call you out every week. And I'm going to invite you to come on the show and defend yourself. And if you don't come on the show and defend yourself, obviously there's a reason why.
Yeah. Well, if one of those guys, if one of those guys did like contact you and said, "Hey, I want to come on and you talk about this," what would you think?
Oh, I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, bro? One of the guys that wrote that book, The Death of WCW, R.D. Reynolds, he came on my show. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, Bryan Alvarez declined. So you tell me, why would R.D. Reynolds come on the show to defend the book against me, but Bryan Alvarez declined?
Mm-hmm. I never heard
that. That guy came on my show twice.
Yeah, I have to listen to that. I like R.D. Reynolds. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I mean, the first time we kind of got into it.
Sure.
But we left it in a place where he was able to come back a second time, and I could book him on my show tomorrow and have a conversation with him. But yet at the same time, Bryan Alvarez refused to come on the show. You tell me why.
Yeah, I have a big problem with Bryan Alvarez. Going.
The last thing I would ever do is talk crap about somebody and then not have a conversation with them face to face. I mean, that's the last thing I would ever do. Bro, there's nothing. Say something negative about somebody. I am ready, able, and willing to tell them that same thing face to face. If they called me out and wanted to talk about it, you know, no problem. Let's do it. But when you could sit there, you know, on a podcast or writing a newsletter and talk about Vince Russo for years and years and years and years and never have the freaking balls to ever meet up with him face to face and say anything to his face, that's just not credible, bro. It's just not credible.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I always had a problem with Bryan Alvarez is just like in the last 5 years or so since the network started, he was watching and reviewing all the old Nitros. And he admits that he'd never seen them before. It's the first time he's ever seen the first several years of them. And when I heard that, I was like, how did a guy write a book about the death of WCW if he'd never even seen it?
Absolutely. Well, there you go. Bro, that's what Castrating the Marks is too, bro. They bury themselves. Because I use all clips of them on their shows where their own words bury themselves and they contradict themselves. So that's what I'm talking about, you know, as far as fact. I don't go on there and say, oh, Meltzer's dead. I'll play it, bro. I'll play what Meltzer said. I'll read a tweet verbatim that those guys said. And week after week after week, bro, every time those guys open their mouths, they either contradict themselves or they either bury themselves. I mean, Bryan Alvarez, bro, is, you know, looks at matches of guys. Like, we'll look at a Roman Reigns match or a Bray Wyatt match or a match of professional wrestlers. Bro, go on YouTube and watch Alvarez in his backyard wrestling league. And you're going to tell me this guy has the credentials to criticize anybody's match? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, he really buries Elias almost to the point where I think like there's some type of personal vendetta against the guy or something. It's very weird. He was even the which I thought was a great match last week when he wrestled Roman Reigns, and they were just saying how bad it was and boring, and I was just baffled. I know it's their opinion, but
oh yeah, Keller said the same thing, bro. First of all, it was the best thing on the show by far.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because they actually had a wrestling match and not a spot fest. And Wade Keller said the same thing. He said throughout the entire match, Elias Sampson stayed in second gear. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Wade, how many matches have you had, bro, that you can actually look at a match and know what gear Elias Sampson is? That's what I mean with these guys. They speak so out of school, bro. It's embarrassing. And that's why they don't want to go on a show, like somebody like me that I know what I'm talking about. I've been there and I've done that. And I'm gonna call them out and I'm gonna make them look stupid.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone knows, but let everybody know how they can find your network and all the different podcasts.
I'm on all my shows on video, including Castrating the Marks, which is also on audio, is on the Realm Network, RELMnetwork.com, and you get the shows a day earlier than they appear on Podcast One. I'm on Podcast One with a new show, a new theme, every day of the week, Monday through Friday.
Cool. And I really enjoyed your video with Ken Shamrock from Kayfabe Commentaries. And do you have any people lined up? I don't know if you can give any names or not.
Yeah, well, I did Terry Runnels next, and I mean that one gets really, really crazy because her and I were pretty tight at the WWE, and we've remained friends for a long time. So that one gets a little crazy.
All right, well, I look forward to that. And I'll be interviewing Sean Oliver tomorrow. Do you have any dirt on Sean Oliver for me?
Bro, I wish I did, but I think Sean's great. I mean, I really do, bro. I really do. He's, man, listen, man, this business is full of a lot of slime balls and con men and workers, like at every level. And I swear, bro, he's one of the most stand-up guys I've ever worked with in the wrestling business. I mean, there isn't anything I would never do for the guy. So I have zero bad to say about Sean Oliver.
Yeah. No, Sean's actually been on 10 times. He's got the record. I'm a big fan of him, too. He's great.
Yeah, and, he's the best, man. He really is.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, are you still a movie fan? And if so, I'm a big horror movie fan. Any favorite horror movies you'd like to mention?
Oh man, bro. Oh God, bro, man. Good horror movies are just so few and far between, man. I mean, what's the last good horror movie you saw?
This year there's actually a few of them. I thought the new It was very good, and Get Out was very good.
Yeah, I mean, people
Devil's Candy.
Yeah, people raved about Get Out, and I watched that. I mean, I wasn't crazy about that. Mm-hmm. I want to see the new It. I haven't seen that yet. I definitely will catch that. That should be on DVD, any week. Yeah. But man, I can't really recall the last good one that I've seen. I really can't.
All right. Well, that's which is an independent horror movie. I thought that was it's probably my favorite of the year.
Which one was it?
The Devil's Candy.
The Devil's Candy. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. Is it on Netflix or where can I find it?
I think actually it is on Netflix. Okay, yeah, I think they added it.
I'll look that up. I'll definitely check that out.
Cool. Well, I thank you for doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
No problem, man. And thanks for promoting the DVD, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
This is Sean Oliver from Kayfabe Commentaries, and what a strange place it is here in your head.